Yes.
I'll call this meeting to order. Young County Commissioners Court sitting in a regular meeting Monday, March 26, 2018. It is 9:31 a.m. Make note that this meeting has been published and posted in the manner and for the time required, that all members of the court are present. And if it's convenient, please rise for invocation and pledge. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the many blessings you bring to us. We're grateful for this country, for this state, for this county. We pray that the things that we do here today are within your will and to the benefit of the citizens whom we serve. We ask your blessings upon those who stand in harm's way, whether foreign or domestic, to protect the liberties and the freedoms that we know, we understand, and that we love. We ask that you forgive us of many shortcomings, which we know you will. We ask your blessings upon those that we know of who are suffering from illnesses, from injuries, and that you stand with them and comfort them as only you can do. We ask all these things in the name of Christ our Savior. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. We have a courtroom full. Next on the agenda, item number 2A is we would like to get this thing moving with the constable, if it be the pleasure of the court. Cliff, if you'll come forward here. Cliff Blackstock was elected as the nominee to fill the unexpired term of our late Freddie Page, as his death vacated the office of Constable Precinct 3 in Young County. And being that he is the only person left in line, no opposition on the other side, we find it appropriate to appoint Cliff as until the next general election, which will be in November, and no opposition there. That will just continue on, I think, until the unexpired term begins in January. Okay, the first thing, Cliff, according to Article 16, Section 1B, the Texas Constitution, all elected or appointed officials before taking the oath or affirmation of office prescribed by this section and entering upon the duties of office, they shall subscribe their names to this statement. This is not necessarily a document that has to be notarized, but you've got to subscribe your name to it. So if you'll raise your right hand, when I ask, you'll repeat after me. I'll tell you what, let me give you this right here, and you can read it. Okay. I,
Clifford Lawton Blackstock,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
Very good. Put your name up there on that. We'll get you a copy of that signed document, and it's to be kept with your official papers, and the county clerk will have a record of that also. Get you a copy of that, and that's still have it written. myself. This is the official oath that's right underneath here. As I speak, then you follow in line. We'll do this a little differently than we did the last one.
Okay.
When I pause, then you repeat the words that I say. Okay?
Right.
This is in accordance with Article 16, Section 1A of the Texas Constitution. All elected or appointed officers, before they enter upon the duties of their office, shall take the following oath or affirmation. This one will need to have an official stamp. You will also do this, take this statement with your bond. It'll be attested to on your bond. You'll fill out an application for that bond, and we'll get that as quick as we can. Okay? I, Clifford Lawton Blackstock,
Clifford Lawton Blackstock,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of
Young County Constable Precinct 3
Young County Constable Precinct 3
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank you, sir.
Constable. Like you visited with the auditor in regards to bond, it's kind of been put in process, but I think there's an application that you fill out.
You're right.
We'll have that in there. You got to.
I watched it inside.
We'll take that and then we'll deliver it to the clerk to get a copy of it. Congratulations, Clay.
Thank you, sir.
Item 2B is discuss, consider accepting donations to Young County Historical Commission from Delivery Production LLC in the amount of $1,000. That's Delivery Productions through Robbie Friedman, their locations manager, agreed to, for us giving him the permission to utilize the old truss bridge west of Newcastle going across the Brazos River for some scenes that they shot for the film that Netflix, a Netflix film called The Highwayman, regarding Bonnie and Clyde and the Texas Rangers that came out of retirement to apprehend, I believe. What say you, Susan, Junior?
On behalf of the Young County Historical Commission, we'd like to present this check from Delivery Productions for the use of the Newcastle Bridge for their filming to the County Commissioners Court.
Very good. We're grateful for that. We hope it's a great success, and we know that this will be used we'll put this in the Young County Historical Commission fund, and it will be used for that specific purpose for the Historical Commission. And for the record, this is Susan Smith and Julia Cox.
I would like to say this is one of those wonderful situations where everyone wins, because the film production company gets to film the great bridge, and they're documenting and preserving it and promoting it in its own way. And then the funds from that are going to preserve and protect and promote the history of Young County. But I think the most important thing is that it reminds us how rich our history is here in Young County, and those things do need to be preserved and promoted.
Yes, ma'am, it sure is. And one other little note, we'll thank the Commissioner 2 and 4 for, and anybody else, people out there to help dress up, clean up that bridge, and Delivery Production is going to finance that also, and I think they have been invoiced,
We've received the money.
$6,600, which is over.
Pretty much.
Glad.
Might I say this, only Hollywood can enter Oklahoma over the Red River, west of Newcastle.
But that's what's really cool, is they were looking for an example of a 1930s bridge in Texas, and they found it right here in Young County.
I've had so many people contact me that want to use the bridge for pictures, for senior pictures and stuff, so. It's good, it's good.
Yeah.
It is. You guys are we did.
People out on,
Okay.
without litigation.
And then deliver our treasurer, Ann.
And you want to stand right there with everyone else?
Deliver that land. And our treasurer.
Yep, put it in the treasury. Take care of that, Ian.
Very good. Okay, item number 2C. Okay, consider presentation and acceptance of donation of drug dog, and I'll turn this over to Travis Babcock.
Okay, one thing, no, not yet.
Travis, one question, what's the name of the company that's donating the dog?
It is, what was it?
Canine.
Southern Canine out of Laurel, Mississippi.
Service K.
Okay, what I'm gonna ask y'all is, please do not reach out to try to touch these dogs when they come in, because one of them will probably bite it plumb off if you let it, you know, so just keep your hands in here, and I'm gonna bring them in one at a time.
Jimmy gets bit.
It also uses Stephen,
Good.
cologne, so you better.
This one's not that bad, he's pretty nice.
Haven did a lemonade stand to donate all their money to the canine dogs last
Okay,
summer.
this dog right here is Sam, and his handler is Samantha Muncie. He turned a year old today. So, and also today on his birthday, he got his first call out. So he went out and did a positive alert on a vehicle. And when they searched the vehicle, they found drug paraphernalia with a meth pipe that had meth residue inside. They didn't find any meth itself, but they did find the meth pipe, which is positive. The dog, when the dog alerts and they find at least that right there. So he did good this morning. And he turned a year old today.
Sam?
He is a Dutch,
Do what?
What kind of answer is that?
he's a Dutch Shepherd,
So it's for canines.
He's what?
Dutch Shepherd.
Dutch Shepherd.
He's half mountain wire, half German Shepherd. So he's not wired all the way in his head, right? You know, he's very good dog. This dog, you love to death.
Getting to sit more for
He will play with people, you know, if you let him.
Six.
But with her, she's trying to make sure that he doesn't get interact with people. He's a working dog.
Of course, you won't let it cry.
Can we get like all of y'all to stand so that we can like in that corner?
And this dog don't have.
Jimmy, get up here.
Travis, can we take a picture of both of them at the same time?
I'm sorry?
Can we take a picture of both of them at the same
No.
time? Okay.
We can, but we just don't wanna, we probably don't have enough room in here.
Well, I just want, do you want to go stand next to Sam? Yeah.
Come on, Mike.
He won't bite. He'll just lick you. Sure, you're not getting a picture. Seats.
Look at you.
Seats. Seeds.
Hey,
Seeds.
look at her.
Let me remind you.
He's interested in what, he's interested in what she's doing.
So does anybody have any questions for Deputy Muncy about the dog, or about her training or anything?
Tell them how long they did training.
They trained for 6 weeks at the facility before she could even be certified as a dog handler. The dog has to certify and the handler has to certify before they can go out and even search for drugs or narcotics.
If Sam was away for any, Samantha, I'm sorry, is away for any reason, does that put Sam out of commission until she gets back? Is it
I'm
only?
Oh,
Is she
if
the only
she's on
handler that
vacation
dog
or
will?
whatever, she's the only handler this dog will
So,
have.
okay, so when you're out, the dog is out.
And the reason we have two now is because it's a, there's a lot that goes on that, if we just have one, you'll never, that person never gets in time off. I mean, because if he's here, no matter, or her, no matter if they're on days off or whatever, they're gonna get called. So the only time they'll ever have a time off is to leave. And, at least now we have two, which gives us freedom for people to take off and enjoy their time with their family.
How did I get that cast?
Well, they were doing, I'll let Samantha tell them.
She broke his leg.
Broke his leg. It was our last day of training, last thing we had to do. It's called recall. When we send them on a bite, we want to make sure that we can get them to come back. So what they do is they put a rope around his neck. We have him go out, try to get a bite. And Sam was a little stubborn and still a puppy, so he wanted it, and he was going too fast and landed on his leg rope.
And this rope is not just a regular rope.
No.
It's a rope that they use specially for this. So, him being 11 months at the time, he's 100-mile-an-hour everything he does.
And like the vet said, if he was older, 2 or 3 years old, it would never happen.
Yeah, he would have never done
Because
it.
he's still got fragile bones and they're still growing.
Which it was even at this time, it was like the certain bone that he broke, the vet said you could take it out and he wouldn't even notice. But
His
since he is-
his nose is just fine, right?
It is. Same, as you can tell, he still jumps, he still runs, he still walks. It hasn't slowed him down a bit.
How old is he again?
He
A year
turned
old
1
today?
yesterday for today. Sam, see, here.
So they are,
How long will it be
It depends on the dog and the handler. Not just really the handler, but the dog. 8 years is about the max that you really want one because, especially with German Shepherds, they start having issues with their hips. And they have the heart, they just don't have the body that will let them continue.
but these dogs are both dual trained.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I think it's understood, isn't it, that Samantha ever leaves that she has to buy the dog?
You know, you can,
Remember that discussion? But I would take it.
but as long as this dog is, as young as this dog is right here, if something was to happen, which I hope it never does, you can train another handler to take over the dog.
I just want to say thank you to Sam because she went to Mississippi for 6 weeks. She has 2 kids at home. So, yes, she gets paid when she's there, but that was a huge commitment for her to say, yes, I'll do that for the sheriff's office. And thanks to the commissioners for setting the budget line item for us to get 1 dog. And then Southern Canine donated 1 dog for us.
Well, I am, but she's doing it.
So it's a blessing all the way around, and thank you for doing that.
I was gonna ring like I don't know.
Glad I had the opportunity.
All right, hey, if you want to, Sam, if anybody have any more questions, if you want to, take him out there and then stick around and we'll try to get them both together. And I'm gonna bring in this other dog, his name is Rocky.
But
Let's get him, let's get her out of here. This is a dog you really don't want.
fella Travis the other day. I thought he was on a treadmill
Hey, wish you luck.
and he was walking his dog. So he went on a treadmill.
All right, this is Deputy Devin Wright, and this is Rocky. You can take him over.
He's gonna get up there one way or another.
He likes me now.
I didn't like you much.
Work on that. Huh?
Sorry, he's shedding like crazy too.
Looking for drugs.
See, this dog is 2 years old,
He's got a different demeanor, doesn't he?
different demeanor.
He thinks we're hunting for drugs.
And that's why he's looking at
Hope he
Sheriff.
doesn't find any.
Nah, I think he's calmed down a whole lot since we brought him back.
How old is he?
He's 2 years old.
This dog.
And this dog here, the first 24 hours after we got back here with him, Archer County called and wanted assistance with our dog. We went to the call. He did a positive alert. They found how many grams of meth?
It was
Almost 2 grams?
almost.
2 grams of meth, stolen guns, and a lot of money. So, I mean, first 24 hours he's here, he was already out there working and making a difference.
Stay.
Anybody have any questions for
Selling pants.
Deputy Wright and Rocky?
Sheriff,
This is German Shepherd.
Yes,
this is the dog that we got through donation.
this is the dog that we got from donations, and the donations that we got for this dog was from the Republican women donated, and Haven Snow donated her egg money,
No, lemonade money.
lemonade money to help us with the purchase of this canine.
She just wanted to make sure they had toys.
And they do, these dogs are toy driven
He loves.
from day one. So, they love their toys. My canine is be 12 years old and she's still toy driven.
We delivered a couple of toys the other day that Travis's office for these dogs, and his retired canine got up on the table and got the.
Yeah. Since her,
Right.
Well, that's not fair. You gotta bring him for all.
Is this?
I did, he told me not to.
Have a dog or have you?
No, sir, this is my second dog to handle in law enforcement. He's through this training at Southern State Canine. Rocky, no, sit. Good. Through Southern State Canine, I was also able to obtain my trainer certificate as well, so I have the 240 hours of handler's course plus the additional trainer's course. So basically what we had to do was have a dog that had no training and a handler that had no training. So that's where our other dog come in. So basically, at the end of that 6 weeks, that dog and that handler, I had to train or help train to get them to pass the certification at the end.
So now you can train future dogs?
Yes, we could train our future dogs. Of course, we would reach out to certifying individuals that would certify the dogs. Just that would be a liability reason, we just wouldn't certify other people's dogs. But we could train them for sure, for our own.
If I could tag on to what Tiffany said a little while ago about budgeting that $25,000, we appreciate everyone who testified and brought this to our attention. And when we did that, we know that there's a lot of other places that the county could spend $25,000. But I know this, I believe these dogs will pay large dividends in protection of our citizens and the elimination of drugs on our roads in the community. I want to tell you how much we appreciate you.
Thank you.
You know, since we have Sam and Sam, would we not call you Rocky, David?
Yeah, I will say that this morning, Sam got called out. She may have mentioned that earlier.
Yes, she did.
And they found some paraphernalia. Well, after I'd met with the officer this morning, that's actually going to turn into a possession of methamphetamine, possession of controlled substance, felony charge because the amount of drugs that were inside the pipe. So we
Good
are
deal.
gonna file-
So we're getting traction already.
So we are going to file a felony on that. That's the first time that dog has been utilized.
That's a good deal.
Devin had a lot to do with Southern Canine donating one dog to Young County. It was the city canine that passed away that Devin had for so long. And that was one of the attention drawers that came in. Devin also works with Wichita County and their canine department. And so through all of those connections, that's how Mr. Bob
And Tiffany, she's.
Donated the
She
dog.
don't tell on herself, but she was instrumental in a lot of this, getting with these people over in Mississippi also.
But
So I think with a team effort, you know, like Tiffany said, like Mike Sapp said, I would like to thank all the commissioners for allowing us this opportunity to have these canines and to be able to, use this as another tool to go out and fight this narcotics problem that we have in Young County.
it's a huge investment for us.
Well, it's just like this morning, the reason the dogs were called out this morning was because the guy refused consent to search his car. So the dog was brought out, alerted to the presence of narcotics in the vehicle. The search was made on probable cause due to the canines alert, and that's how we were able to make that felony.
So you're saying that's an arrest we may not have made had it not been for the dogs?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, because forever and ever before, I mean, since 2014, we haven't had a canine. So, and these guys know this. And they're gonna say, no, I'm not gonna give you consent to search the vehicle, and they know we can't get a dog. So now, we do have the dogs.
That's the same way that we got the gun and the 5,000 cash. and
Right.
dope.
Which would have never got that without the dogs.
Would you ever go into the schools? I know in Mineral Wells,
Yes.
they go, I used to substitute in there, and they would tell you, everyone out in the hallway, and then the dog went in and.
And we're gonna start using them over in Newcastle High School, or the school over there too, as soon as we can get everybody together and talk to the superintendent over there has already said he was ready for them to come over. So,
Absolutely, this is Young County's dog,
yes.
so it'll be used all over the county.
There are talks with GISD and the sheriff's office of bringing them in to Graham for a presentation with the kids
Yep.
in support of the current DARE program that's there. So it's just to have additional education to the children and protection of the DARE program. So yeah, they'll be used everywhere. How long did it take for Sam to respond to that call when it came in? Was she
Not very long.
already on duty?
No, he was in the Army, or he was in the Army.
Did she have to come get Sam and then go, or did she already had Sam with her?
No, and the thing, we're gonna have the dogs, well, I'm not gonna talk about that.
Because there's been a lot of question about that.
Yeah, well,
Something.
there's some things I just don't say on the.
Well, and just from knowing Devin as being in law enforcement before and knowing Devin as an officer today, he's a perfect candidate for this dog. And I know he did a great job over at the city with his dog there, so we're lucky to have him.
Okay, we need, you want to do a group photo with?
Dogs also catch
Yeah, y'all
dogs?
get up here and, huh?
Are they also catch dogs? If you-
Oh, yeah, they're all purpose dogs, they will, they're certified in narcotics, searching, and biting, which is all patrol.
Last summer, we had 3 searches.
Apprehension.
Yeah, not bite apprehension.
We had 3 searches last summer, so hopefully we won't have any.
Here's your back. Sit. Heel. Heel. Heel.
Well, no,
You can go stand right in the middle if you want. Thank you. You want to go stand?
Can you even see them dogs? Hey, y'all wanna, already go outside and do it. So,
Yep, seats.
As soon as Sam sits still from the courthouse.
we can do this when they get through the commissioner's court, if y'all wanna do it outside.
You wanna do one on the courthouse steps?
whatever you want to do.
Whenever y'all get through, y'all wanna take a break or whatever, if y'all wanna do, we can take one outside and run the courthouse on the steps.
Watch out, there's squirrels out there too.
On the steps. That's all right.
Thank you. Yes. All right, okay with y'all?
Okay.
We'll go outside.
Not a place of dividends.
Okay, we'll come back to order. Young County Commissioners Court sitting in the regular meeting. It is 10:04. Tatum. The next item on the agenda is public comments, presentations. Let's see, what I've got here is the Duck Derby event, Fireman's Park, April the 7th.
What is that?
Oh, that's a Rotary sponsored fundraising event for them. It's, they'll turn loose about 5,000 ducks.
5,000 ducks, big rubber ducks.
I think it's
Rubber ducks.
Yeah.
$25.
And then a float to the end to see who wins.
$50 for 25.
Buy
Something like that, I can't remember.
buy ducks at $5 a piece.
That's what it is.
And all that money goes,
It goes into their scholarship.
To their Rotary.
That's what happened down here at the
that's good.
They'll be at Fireman's
Farmers
Park.
Park where they got those ropes in the water.
Yeah, they got,
Yeah,
looks like a hydroplane race.
Yeah.
Slower, of course.
City's been practicing, I've been
I
watching.
have a brochure or two in here, whoever wants to pick one up.
I urge y'all to buy one, that's a good cause. It's gonna be a major fundraiser for the Rotarians. If I might tag on to that, the Masonic auction was another great success. We sold $97,000 worth of other folks' belongings. That put another $8,000 or so into our scholarship fund. And we're now in the process of processing those scholarship applications and getting ready to give that money away. So, thank you all very much.
That's good. Big event. I've got also, the old post office museum and art center is gonna have a Kentucky Donkey Derby Day. That's on May the 5th. It'll be right behind the old post office museum. I think that's gonna begin like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, to about 10.
And ought to be fun to watch.
Do you have any extension agency?
Can't wait to see you.
I'm here.
Right here, yeah, Miranda.
I'm hiding back here.
carry mine.
She's trying to keep her hands in.
Got any extension? Miranda Rebel with the quarterly report.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
How you doing?
How are you? We just want to give you all kind of a wrap up of how we finished the last of 2017. So you have all the summaries from all the major programming that we did. And then you have some of the flyers for the upcoming programs that we have starting actually this week. We start this week with our small engine project, which the Precinct 1 guys help with that. We have our food preservation classes, we have our food handler classes. All of our 4-H contests have kicked off at the county level, and we start district contests in 2 weeks. We will be hosting fashion storyboard, clothing and fashion show, and Duds to Dazzle in Graham. The same week that we're hosting Safety Day for all the 3rd graders, and a new program called Welcome to the Real World at Graham High School. We sent y'all all an email about that one. We need lots of volunteers. It's a financial literacy simulation that GHS has elected for all the 11th graders to go through. At the end of the month, we are doing the same program in Olney with their seniors. So we're excited, big programs. April's a little stressful. So we'll be in high gear. So I start a program called A Matter of Balance on Monday at Brookdale, teaching safety skills and awareness to some of the seniors there. We've started a series of recipe demonstrations there as well. So we kind of came back from spring break and hit the ground running. So Justin is stock showing, otherwise he would be here. So he'll be back soon.
Is that still in Houston? Or is where is it?
Today, he's in Waxahachie.
Waxahachie.
Yes.
I didn't know that stopped in Waxahachie.
He found one.
Yeah, yeah.
What are the other options for the professional food handlers in town besides your program for food management?
They can do some online. Otherwise, we're the only in-person one in the county.
Okay.
So,
What do you do with it all?
We host them at Fort Belknap, the co-op meeting room.
How's the kitchen working?
We haven't done anything as far as bringing people in and using it. We have a day camp scheduled in June. We hope to have that list of camps out by the end of the week. We're just finalizing some prices on that,
You
so.
got it pretty much organized. I see you've got a label on every door and every drawer.
We're trying. There's still a
That's
few
for you.
piles.
Yeah.
There's still a few piles of construction dust, so, everything had to be washed and cleaned and put away, so, yeah. We're definitely loving the sink, we can actually do dishes now, so.
You're doing an awesome job. You really are.
Any more questions?
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, y'all come join
How
us.
about your participation numbers?
They're there,
Are they good?
they're decent. We had a rough year,
I've had a lot of activities for youngsters.
yes,
They need any food tasters, Mike.
You won't be happy to be
of
done.
course.
You know what you're gonna do to those 11th graders, though, that's gonna be something that's gonna help them in the future, you know?
It's convincing their parents that, and
Well-
having their parents get them to the events, that's,
Right.
That's the hard part.
yeah. We can host events all day long, but we can't physically make them get there, so.
The folks that take this food protection management course, they are aware that it is our county 4-H extension that's making this
Yes.
available to them?
Yes, every year when we create that flyer, we've worked with the city and gotten the list. We send it to all of Young and Throckmorton County because they don't have my position in Throckmorton County, trying to get everybody. So last year, we hosted the food protection management class one time. We only had one participant. But that program is good, that certification is good for 5 years. So Baylor County hosts them and then Weatherford hosts them as well, so.
It's good.
All food handlers, you talk about restaurants and things like that.
Yes,
They have
so-
to be certified.
Yes, everybody that works in a food establishment has to have a minimum of a food handlers. That one's good for 2 years. There has to be a food protection manager on shift at all times, and that's usually a manager or a supervisor or an owner or
That
something.
includes all servers as well?
Yes.
Is the school required to take that also?
Yes, yes. We've already worked, Graham High School took their entire staff, their kitchen staff, 2 years ago in August. They did that as one of their in-service days. We've already got that scheduled for August so that they don't lapse. They're getting ready to go again, so.
You see anything big coming down from headquarters that might be some big changes take place? or-
Not yet, not yet. It's still pretty quiet.
Don't stress her out, Jimmy.
I know, right? There's always tons of recalls and tons of stuff that we're watching. There's been some movement on the cottage food level, which is people that make goods in their home to sell. There's been a little bit of movement on that, trying to get those restrictions broadened. But if you compare those to other states, Texas is already pretty lax, so I don't know if there's a lot of weight on those, so.
A&M has moved you to a new software system? Is that correct? Or not? Reporting?
No, they gave me a new title. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay, they gave me a new title. I am now Family and Community Health. So they have me doing a lot more health-related stuff.
So if you look for a county home economics person, that's the new title.
Yeah.
You just can't leave things well enough alone.
No, I was kind of happy where I was.
Yeah.
Gotta
So,
be daggy on.
Yeah.
yeah,
Phone system and internet system working on it?
currently.
Currently. When it's off, it's off.
Yeah, if it gets super windy, then we're sorry.
So you go,
It is Zito, but
It's Jake.
Brazos has run a line out that direction there.
okay.
And I have toyed with the idea because of your phone system and everything. Changing.
The IP phones are great and they're saving us a lot of money.
With their, with their.
But they gotta be working,
But
internet's gotta be.
Zito's so volatile, I've got that and the sheriff's department, I want fiber optics in both those.
Cool. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Okay, Okay, item number 4 will be consider county clerk minutes from previous meeting. That'll be March the 12th and March the 15th, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Motion, Wiley. Second, Rogers. To approve those minutes as presented. All in favor? Carried, 5-0. Consider treasurer's financial report, updates on pledges. Do we have anything here?
Yeah, I sent it around. Everything's balanced for February. I can't remember when we did move some money into the, did we do that last time? We paid the debt service payment, everything, we still have that. We received, the money for our hotel occupancy tax.
Grew a little bit, didn't it?
Another pretty decent month. Wow.
We're
$200.
We're over $6,000.
Well, no,
Right.
48.
5 or something.
But the summer's coming on, so it'll probably
It
increase.
does.
And then just an acknowledgement of the oath for my assistant, Amber, Nikki.
Yes, acknowledge the deputation and oath of office.
Yes.
Amber Jonas.
Also known as Nikki.
Nikki.
Or Nikki.
So moved on financial and also the acknowledgement of deputation of oath.
Second.
Okay, motion, Wiley. Second, Sykes. To, accept the financial report from our county treasurer and acknowledge the deputation and oath of Nikki Amber Jonas, as well as acknowledge the receipt of hotel occupancy tax for the month of February. All in favor? Aye. Carried 5-0.
Yeah, I did create a new line just for that HOT and create a fund.
That
Yes,
goes
we
in
did, we
special
put it
fund.
in, we made a separate line so we could keep track and use it for,
I thought you said you did.
Will it not be on your financial statement every month?
oh no, those are, it's in a line within the, within
It's not
the
separate.
department.
Part of the detail of what.
Yes, it's
It's a separate fund though, or just a line?
just a line item, we didn't open a separate bank account or anything.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be separate.
We have enough bank accounts.
Yeah. Yeah, because we put it in there so next year we could budget for a project with what we project we might receive out of that income.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to consider auditor's budget amendments and vouchers payable.
I have vouchers payable.
No amendments.
No, sir.
Good.
Total today is $164,285.31. And out of the general is $139,559.53. I noticed there's nothing for precinct 2 and 3 paid on that. I might have any bills.
We didn't worry.
Okay.
We tried not to say so.
We just charged it to these two guys.
So moved.
I may be paying.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Pruitt and a second by Commissioner Wiley to approve the vouchers payable as presented, acknowledging that they are no amendment, no budget amendments. All in favor?
And you had
Carried
to know,
5-0.
we paid the Garcia out of yours, but we did receive the money, and so we put the revenue back into your part of it.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is consider employee bond. It's Carolyn C. Honeywell, Deputy Tax Assessor Collector, in the amount of $5,000. I think that's payable. County.
I move we approve the stated bond.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sykes, second by Commissioner Pruitt to approve bond for deputy tax collector Sue Honeywell. All in favor? Carried 5-0. Item number 8 is consider contract correction regarding No Inc. and their partnership with Hart. I'll let Lauren, our elections administrator, explain that to you.
I don't remember how much of this I explained when we bought the poll pads the other day. Hart and No Inc. are partners. And so Hart will provide the service for our poll pads, but we bought them through No Inc. and part of my software stuff comes through No Inc. When they sent the original contract, they left the Hart piece off. They sent us the wrong contract, basically. So they sent out a new one. It's got the service agreement. I went through and there's like 3 sections that they added and it's all about service and what Hart will provide for us.
So we're doing business with Hart and No Inc. is a provider to Hart.
Yes. Hart will sell exclusively No Inc. poll pads kind of as a distributor type.
And they'll provide an out service.
Yes, yes. But the software and all of that still seeps with.
So Hart is responsible for No Inc. service?
No, Hart does the service.
Okay.
They get
No
the,
Inc. only provides the hardware.
right, and the background software, so. But the equipment will be taken care of.
But if there's something wrong with the equipment, something wrong with the software?
I call Hart.
You call Hart.
So I bought it through No Inc. But
You actually bought it too.
Sounds like all hard, doesn't it?
yeah,
That's all Hart.
everything I do, I just call Pete. He just takes care of me.
Have they actually merged?
They didn't merge, they just have an agreement
Yeah.
that this is how
They're
the state
not
of Texas.
subsidiaries of each other.
No,
They're separately owned companies.
They're separately owned companies, but they've integrated so much of the software so that one system will work with another system and work with some software I have, that Hart wants to make sure that that all stays put
So we need to
together.
execute a contract with Hart.
Yes, and I've got 2 signature pages, and Judge Bullock signed it the first time, so I guess he signs it again.
So this $940
do we
paying the
need
Hart
to-
is going to No Inc.
Going to Hart, and they distribute it any way they want to.
I
Is
don't,
that what it does?
it's whoever sends us the bill, I don't know how they'll bill us. I mean, Hart will, I do it.
So moved,
I'd certainly prefer.
So we're gonna,
so moved on the contract with No Inc. Hart.
Did we already pay for those poll pads? Did that bill already come in? Because it didn't come to my office if it came in.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so they're already paid for, and I've already taken delivery of them. They're in my office.
It shows $940 total. That's a Hart.
So we got a motion to approve that.
I have one motion.
is there any
You made the motion?
necessity to, is just a correction in the contract, or is there any necessity to cancel or withdraw that other one?
I will make sure that both parties realize that we have corrected the problem that was sent to me.
So do we need to invalidate the first contract?
You did not tell me to do that.
Or do we need to execute both?
Well, we don't really want, I guess we can correct the contract.
That would require 2 motions, we need to.
Yeah. I would think we need to
Nullify the contract.
disallow or nullify the last contract. And
Just like the
then
previous contract null and void.
Right.
Yes,
And we
and then
will issue this.
issue the current one now.
That only makes
ratify
sense
the
to
new
do
one.
that, 'cause,
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we null and void the first contract
With No Inc.
with No Inc. and let's ratify and sign the new contract with No Inc. and Hart.
All five. Previous. Execute. Revision. we've got a motion, who made, who seconded that?
I'll second.
He seconded.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Wiley and a second by Commissioner Sykes to nullify the previous contract we had with Hard Inner City. With no ink, and re-execute revised contract. This is going to be with no ink.
And
And Hard Inner City. All in favor? Carried.
I'm hoping to get myself trained on those in the next week or so and have them in use for the May local elections, so.
This year on number 9 too.
Yeah, I'm still standing.
You're awful needy.
I'm trying really hard not to be needy.
It costs money every time she shows up.
No, well, then, yeah. Tends to, actually. Travis? I have small children. I figure, well.
Item number 9 is discuss, consider approval of temporary branch early voting location in Olney for primary runoff. And I think added to this is some extended hours. Is that right?
We're going to change our Graham hours to be 9 to 6 all week to help alleviate any issues that people have getting to the polls. And then in talking with Fran, she has the only statewide race. The Democratic ballot has a statewide race for governor runoff, and so that needs to be available to the entire county. So she asked that we open only for one day, again, 9 to 6, and have just one day of early voting over there, in addition to election day when we'll have all 5 voting boxes open. So that's the plan with your approval. The county is responsible for early voting costs on anything but a local, like a local city or school election. So we won't be billing that back to anybody. We will be paying the early voting costs. And then the parties are responsible for election day.
What's the cost?
$10 an hour for 10 or 12 hours for 3 people.
So moved.
And one day for 3 additional.
Right, yeah.
Second.
Same location and all.
It will be at the library only, yes, sir.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wiley and a second by Commissioner Sykes to approve the addition of a one-day voting location for early voting in Olney. That'll be at the community library in Olney with hours of 9 to 6, and that early voting and all other aspects will be from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day
At the college, yes, sir.
at NCTC. We all clear on that?
Just that one day that's recommended by the Democratic chair.
Yes, we had talked about eliminating Olney as an early voting spot because there were 12 voters in Olney that early voted on the Democratic ballot. So we wanted to make sure we were talking it through in every aspect. And so with it being early voting, anybody can vote anywhere. So if there are folks on this side of the county that work at Air Tractor or Tower or whatever, they can take advantage of that day. And anybody who did not vote in the primary can vote, you know, in a runoff. So.
Not that we'd ever do this, and I'm just asking for how the law is stated. Do we, as a commissioner's court, have the right to say no to a request such as this?
Yes,
Yes.
you do. And that's why we had to bring it through Commissioner's Court, is because it's an early voting issue, and so it's at the discretion of the court, not the parties. But in an effort to make sure that everybody had some availability,
Access, I understand.
we wanted to do that, and so.
Lauren and I talked about it some bit. I thought she had a good plan. We did talk about early voting only being in NCTC, but under circumstances, felt like that it probably was okay, being that, because of the numbers, but obviously we don't want to withhold any kind of, or make it so inconvenient for someone that they can't vote. So, you know,
Is our cost per vote cast up or down from previous years?
It depends on the election, and I don't always have the data for past elections. I have been keeping a record of hourly voter turnout and what that costs, just as far as personnel goes. I don't have any of the ballot production or my costs built into that, but I can tell you how much it costs for a poll worker to sit there for the number of voters who show up.
Talk about inhibiting anyone's right to vote.
No.
I'm just talking about what it costs us to budget, what we need to budget to
Right,
have these
exactly. And
elections.
that's why I've been keeping up with it, is because I want to make sure we've got plenty of room in our budget. Because it is costly to put on an election. And, you know, every hour you're there, that's $30 more per polling place per hour. So, you know, it can get really costly in a hurry, especially when you don't have very many voters coming out.
Did we roughly estimate the cost per vote in the previous election?
The November constitutional was at $50 a voter.
$50.
$50 a voter. And that's the in-person voters. That doesn't have anything to do with the mail-in ballots. That doesn't have anything to do with any
We
of
need to
that.
get the volume up so that cost can go down.
I spent a whole week in training trying to figure out how to do
How to
that.
do that.
And I'm still not sure I'm real clear on, you know,
Can't make them vote.
right. I mean, we post in the paper, we post with everybody in the world. We've got it on Facebook, we've got it on the radio. We've got you guys out there talking. There's only so many ways. It's like what Miranda said. I can tell you all day there's a program, but until you drive up to the window, I can't do anything for you.
I still think there's people that don't understand early voting. They can go to, or day of election can go to
Any polling place.
any poll.
Yeah, and, you know, we talked that through. It's on every piece of writing that if I've got a sign with polling locations, it says you can vote in any location on election day. It's just still a very new program to the state. So, and not everybody is involved in it yet in the state. There's 40 some odd counties that are doing it. And it's only been around since 2008, I believe. So it's still a very new program, considering, we've been voting in the state of Texas for a good couple hundred years or so.
Maybe hit the service clubs, do a little program.
If you have
We
service
need a
club
PR
access,
campaign.
please let me know. I'm more than happy to go and visit with service clubs.
I've had those questions asked, and I brought that up at some of our service clubs. And
Yeah.
whenever that people, community understands that, whoever's asking that question, they say, "Really? Well, that's great."
Yeah, and it is
Let's just use some banners that says
just
vote
do it as a
any
little-
It's
location.
essentially.
I put banners that say vote here, and they still don't go to the right place.
Well, because they're programmed into knowing they
They
have
are.
to go to their own precinct.
They are, and cutting out some of those smaller locations, the Fort Belknap, the Jean, and the South Bend locations, forced some people to ask that question, and so now they're telling their friends. But until, it's been around for a little bit, because we've only been doing this a year and a half, maybe,
I think the second election. we're
Yeah.
going through with it.
so,
Maybe the first.
yeah.
Our guys up in Wichita County just started doing that this
Mhm.
year, so it should be kind of get out and start.
I was gonna say, a lot of the
Common
area
knowledge.
is starting to get it, and once we can get it onto a news station where more people, again, see it and hear it, our people will start asking questions again, but, I mean, they come in my office and say, where do I vote? And, they walk past 3 signs that say voted NCTC, so,
Would it help if the commissioners wore sandwich boards and walked up down the street?
I really would like to put you on costumes and have you dance on the side of the road like they do the Liberty tax office.
You know, I hate to be ignorant, but a lot of people don't know what NCTC is. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, they do not know
They
what
don't know,
that is.
and the address is generally on the signs that I've got up. So it may say North Central Texas College, it's at 928 Cactus, Cherry.
Formerly
It's-
Shawnee Elementary.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Formerly Shawnee
You
Elementary.
really think, but
Oh,
that
I know,
really helped
but-
for
For
a
a lot
lot.
of them.
Yeah, and a lot of them it does,
Yes.
but if I put the address on there, that's as far as I'm going, because otherwise I get to start reliving the entire county history of what that building might have been and who worked there and.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table here. Commissioner Wiley moved and Commissioner Sipes second to add the early voting place for the one day,
And that will be Wednesday,
Wednesday, the
Wednesday of that week, which is the week of the 14th, so 15th,
16th.
May 16th, I believe. That was March.
You know what, and you know what's sad about this situation is you got
May 16th.
nearly a fourth of the county making the decision on what the whole county got.
Thank you.
That's
So
what I'm
that was
saying.
about 26% turnout on this last.
Yeah,
Yes, it was right at 26% turnout.
yeah.
Which,
That's to add the early voting day in Alny, Texas at the community library from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, May 16th, 2018, and to approve the hours of operation here at NCTC Old Shawnee School, early voting, for those hours to be 9 to 6 also, each day. Everybody clear?
Yes.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, item number 10, discuss, consider, proposed audit of the sheriff's evidence and property room and management training thereof. This is John M. Vasquez.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity to come before you and discuss with you and answer any questions you may have about the proposal. I don't know if you've all had an opportunity to review it or not. Let me start out by saying, prosecutors will often tell you, or will always tell the law enforcement community, if I cannot get a conviction for murder for this person without a body, and I can't get you a conviction for any other crime without evidence. A perfect segue for me today was the dogs coming in. Y'all were very pleased that they've even already performed some work, gotten some positive results. That's super, that's what they're there for. Where is that evidence gonna go until trial? It's gonna go into the evidence room. Is it the chain of custody proper on it? Is it being packaged correctly? Is it being stored properly? Is the documentation correct? If it's not, he's here to tell you that that may not get entered into evidence, and there goes your case. There goes the hard work for that handler and that dog right out the window. What I'm gonna do for you, for the sheriff's office, is come in and I'm gonna audit your procedures. I'm gonna look at how they do things. I'm gonna compare them to state and federal standards, industry standards of evidence rooms. I'm going to randomly, not selected by the sheriff's office, but I just go through their records and I will randomly select items, some paperwork, go to the shelf. Number one, is it there? Is it in the right place? Is the chain of custody good on it? Is all the paperwork filled out properly? Then I'm going to do a reverse. I'm going to get some other evidence off the shelf and I'm going to track it back to the paperwork. And everything needs to be in line. If not, I'm going to write up recommendations on what needs to be done. How are the items being stored? For years, prior to the trial of the century, OJ trial, evidence rooms were considered the redheaded stepchild of any law enforcement agency. The people who worked in them were usually officers that were on light duty or they had been in trouble with the department. So where did they stick them? In the evidence room. Okay, since the OJ trial, everything's changed. It slowly evolved because, I don't know if you all watched it, I know I did because of the evidence issues. They were finding evidence was stored in the trunks of cars by the detectives. A lot of that evidence that they had was not admitted, could not get admitted. If defense counsels cannot attack the facts, they're going to attack the evidence. They're going to throw up any smoke screens that they can. By coming in and having an audit done, and I had a cursory walkthrough with the sheriff and with Sergeant Moody roughly about 2 months ago. And just that cursory walkthrough, I noticed things that were not up to standards. And some of them were, I won't say critical, but they needed some urgent attention to them. So with that, these issues will be resolved quickly. They're going to know exactly what they have in their evidence room. Right now, it's very difficult to determine exactly everything that's in there. It's not the fault of anybody at the SO. It's just over time, it's changed hands, and nobody has gone in to review exactly what is in there and what is not in there. Industry standards, whenever a new sheriff comes in or a new evidence custodian is appointed to that position, there should be an inventory at a minimum done. Because if I'm taking over an evidence room, I want to know the first day I'm there, what's in there, what am I going to be responsible for? So it's prudent that that is done. And really, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I can go on and on about evidence. I've been involved with evidence roughly 30 years. I've done many across the state. I've been to conferences where I've spoken. I have trained at conferences as for evidence room management. I was even an expert witness in a trial it was through the federal courts in New York City. It was against the New York City Police Department. And I was on the defendant's side. He was sentenced he spent 15 years in jail on a rape conviction that he never did, or he never committed. The problem was the New York City Police Department's evidence procedures were among the worst I've seen. So I got to review everything on that. So it doesn't just happen at small towns, it happens in large towns. I've been down to Houston PD. They had 21 guns walk out of their evidence room because of lack of supervision. Telephone company, they had their telephone box in the firearm storage room. They had problems with their phones. AT&T comes in, fixing the phones, and every day, after a while, the employees started noticing that the bags that they were carrying out were bigger and bigger because they were carrying out rifles in these bags. And they finally found 21 of them stolen through the AT&T. Yes, sir.
I do have a couple questions. First of all you go in there and you're going to do the audit for them. We're going to find out, I know there's probably going to be some things that we need to change and stuff like that. When you come back and suggest something to them, are you going to kind of retrain the person that's over it right now and say, this is really the way we need to do it?
That is
not that way, just
That's the
forget
question I
it.
had also. Would you help in the remedial training?
Absolutely, that is an option. There's 4 options that are before you. Option 1 is an inventory. I'm sorry.
Let me ask my second question because you're
Sure.
with this too.
I'm sorry.
Second question is, do you think they should have somebody that is solely in charge of evidence and not have like 2 or 3 different jobs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then, let me qualify that and say that there also needs to be a backup person, maybe not as qualified as the primary, but the backup. You never know what's going to happen. They go
Vacation sick.
whatever.
Right.
Somebody needs to step in and be able to take over those duties on a temporary basis.
Are you mission control or are you with mission control?
I am mission control. Yes, sir.
And you're out of Wichita Falls?
Yes, sir.
You done a inventory and audit Not for the Graham PD, have you?
For the Graham, yes, in fact, I've been down there twice, and it's time for him to do I don't want to say a renewal, but to do a follow-up with them. In fact, he has a proposal that he's working on right now. And I've been with Palo Pinto County. In fact, I've been there once. This is roughly 4 or 5 years ago, and it's time for me to come back, and I just submitted a proposal to them. Hill County Sheriff's Department, I've been down there twice. Hillsborough PD, Wood County Sheriff's Office, I've been pretty much through the state.
How often do you think you should go back?
An external audit should be done industry standards every 3 to 5 years. And obviously, I don't come in and dictate what they need to do, because every agency is different. Industry standards say you need to have a separate room for firearms, a separate room for drugs, a separate room for guns and, for money and jewelry, and then a separate room for everything else.
But you can't do it.
You can't do it. So we have what I call workarounds, and I tailor industry standards to meet the needs of that department. So this isn't just you're going to do what I say. No, I work with them. I have one agency that I was there about 4 or 5 weeks. They didn't do any of the recommendations, and then 3 years later, they asked me to come back in, and I said, no, I'm not going, sorry.
Wasted their money.
It is, it's a waste of my time, it's a waste of their money. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Do you have employees? or
No,
you
sir.
you're
This
the-
is just me.
Just you?
Yes.
You've got 4 proposals here that run from 2,600 to 10,300.
Yes, sir.
That's
You're saying
still
when
a
we-
good price?
I'm sorry?
That's still a good price?
Oh, absolutely. That comes out to, the first option is roughly about 600, comes out to 650 a day, but that's everything. That's expenses and my fee. The second proposal, I believe, was 9,000. Oh, the first one is just the audit. I'm just gonna come in, take a look around, check the paperwork, check the procedures. It takes about 3 or 4 days to do that. The second one is the inventory, which includes the first option. That takes longer. That's why I always visit evidence rooms before I submit a proposal, because I want to see what they've got. This one place that I spoke about earlier, they told me on the phone, well, we've got 3 locations that restore evidence. Okay, fine. I get out there, oh, wait a minute, we forgot about this other room over here. And it's just stacked. And that one room itself added 5 more days. So I always visit first to get an idea of approximately how long.
Mr. Busker, the
Yes.
judge has hit on it exactly. When we're spending taxpayers' money, we gotta make certain that we're getting value
Absolutely.
for that money.
Absolutely.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to have the sheriff and the DA's office speak to the importance of this audit.
Absolutely.
That'd be okay with you?
That's what I was gonna try to call on, is
I'm sorry.
Sheriff Babcock, and see what he,
The importance.
yeah, see what.
And just like he
what
said,
option you might recommend, and ask Philip to put some input in there also.
well, the one that I would rather have if I get the option would be the number 4, because we'll get a complete audit that we haven't had and needed for a while.
Ever.
No, we've never had any.
I never recall.
I think
I spoke with Sheriff Walls and seen when he was in office.
So that's kind of worrying me, what we have in there, and I want to get it straight. And the only way that we're going to get it straight is to have that 4th option. Because, it's important when we go to these trials, if we don't have the evidence, these trials are done. We're finished.
It's disheartening to have a case when you make the arrest and not have a case when you get to court.
Well, and then there's probably so much stuff in there, if it's never been done, that
Well,
probably needs to be destroyed and moved
That's
out.
exactly what I was going to tell you. There's a lot of things that we have in there that I do know that we can get rid of, and we can free up a lot of room
Mhm.
for our evidence. And the only way that we can really do this is to have somebody with his expertise come in there and do this for us.
Do you ever suggest, I don't know what program you're using right now, Sheriff, but do you ever suggest like a program to use to help keep up
Yes.
with the evidence too?
Yes, I do.
Is it the same one they're using? Or do you know?
I'll be honest, I don't know what system they're using.
Because I know that'd be important too.
Philip, what condition have you found evidence in?
You know the system. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The program that we're using right now is just what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't have an actual program that we have, what he has.
We need
And
to.
absolutely.
You don't have one in writing or written program?
We take care of, Chris, you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's the same, please.
Yeah, since I've taken over evidence, these past several months, I found discrepancies trying to put stuff together since prior to 2012. I've got going back to 2001, just in one room. And this is a lot for one individual to take on to try to go back and clean up. I want to make things are done right. One, we don't want to throw out any cases. We don't want to see a lawsuit, anything like that. We want to get everything squared away and where it needs to be, so we're up to par on everything, so we don't have any problems. That's going to take time, and that's going to take a little bit of money to get that where we need to be. And it's something I think should have been done a long time ago, but it wasn't taken care of. We can't go back to that. I think we need to take care of it now as soon as we can and get everything squared away, in my opinion. So, just one room alone, I've got everything from 2001 to now, 18 years of evidence in one room. I've got other rooms of evidence that still need to be gone through, and it's going to take some time and manpower. So,
I'd like to add, when Chris Moody comes in as an evidence custodian, you know I've been on the opposite side of the fence. And I would agree with the statements that are made that if you can't get the facts, make the facts work for yourself, you find something wrong with the way things were done, okay? If you can exclude evidence, sometimes you can make it a lot more difficult to prove basic elements of a criminal offense. And the concern I have is I have kind of an idea about, and Dee does as well, about how kind of archaic everything is over there at the Sheriff's Department as far as evidence, custody goes. When you put Chris Moody on the stand and he testifies, he has to testify under oath that that chain of custody has not been broken and that the evidence that we're claiming it is exactly what it is. And if he's got situations where he isn't able to match up, he may not be able to lay the predicate foundation to be able to get that evidence in. Because before the seizing police officer or the seizing deputy gets to come in and talk about what they've seized, he's got to lay the predicate to get it in. We might not even get past the starting gate on that in certain circumstances, okay? Heard some, I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I believe that both Dee and I have been adequately briefed about the condition of what was going on there. I think it would be beneficial for this county to make sure for prosecution purposes to see that justice is done, would to trace all this stuff, all those items, get rid of the items that are stale and have closed cases, because that costs money to store stuff that's already been should be disposed of. There was a case that we had where it was a major theft ring where they ended up storing a lot of stuff in a container that I think y'all purchased. But that sat out there for a while, and if you've got stuff within the building and all the storage facilities that are like that, y'all need to be able to clear all that stuff out so we can have a good idea of what it is. So if we have a big seizure come along because of a big criminal case, we're not having to buy more containers and stuff like that because we've already cleared everything out. It's just an inventory process, and you need an inventory expert to come in, show you how it's done. Mr. Moody I'm very impressed with him. And I know that he's going to come in and he's going to do a darn good job, and you're not going to have a repeat of what's gone on prior to my becoming the assistant DA here. And so I would back the proposition that they're asking for simply because we just need to know. Don't want to be put in a situation from a prosecutor standpoint. If we've got problems, we need to disclose it to the defense attorneys. We're required by law to do that. And we can't hide behind the fact as prosecuting attorneys that we didn't know. We lose our license, and I don't want to lose my license over that stuff, and neither does Dee. And the county doesn't want to get a tarnished reputation because of that. You've got a lot of professional people in here trying to do their job throughout this whole county, and this is just one of those professional costs that I think we need to consider from a county standpoint. And it's not a yearly recurring thing,
We just need to get it going, and I know Sergeant Lou is more than capable of running it after he gets on his on a right feed. So, do y'all have any questions?
I agree with what they're saying 100%. You gotta do it. And I agree with what he said too. We gotta cross-train somebody else to back him up in case he's gone, you know.
Considering the input in this room and Mr. Vice President's presentation proposal, I would recommend that the court enter into an agreement for the option 4.
Yes, sir.
To do a complete evidence inventory in Young County. So we can start on square one once more.
On the evidence, there's part of it that can be returned back to that person, or does it have, some of it has to be destroyed, and some of it can be done, other things can be done with.
I mean, and we talked about this, there's certain things that if we need to store, that we can store, that DPS allows us to store also, that he made me aware of, which for no cost to us.
Correct. Well, what it is, approximately, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, DPS for counties of less than 100,000. The reason, and DPS will store any of your convicted homicide cases, sexual assault cases, where you're going to have numerous items. Because the reason they're doing this is because of the fact that since the evolution of DNA, and it keeps evolving every year, officers and detectives, and they need to be, they're taking everything, including the kitchen sink, literally. I've seen kitchen sinks in the evidence room. And agencies are just flat out running out of space. Houston PD, they have a 150,000 square foot facility. That was their old facility. When they built a new one, they put in all this new shelving that, you know, it's on these mechanisms, these engines and all this stuff. Well, they built it at, I want to say it was 57,000 square feet. And by day one, when they moved in, it was already full. So, yeah, now, this thing with DPS doesn't apply to them because they're a heck of a lot more than 100,000. But for Young County, this is an answer to keep the space available. And again, during that cursory walkthrough, I forget which one of y'all brought it up about, you know, there was evidence, old evidence that could have already been gotten rid of, but still sitting there. Yes, we did notice that.
I believe Travis made comment that there was evidence back there from 2001.
That's fairly new.
Yeah, there's gonna be some older than that.
There's some back there that's older than that, and y'all know.
18 years old.
There's some in there that's
No, a lot
older
older
than
than
that.
that.
Yeah.
That we would be freeing up space, doing like what he was saying,
Space we need.
put it into that DPS storage.
And I'd like to add something.
But we can't get rid of it.
Mike's motion a while ago, I think that we should make the motion too, that every 3 years we bring this gentleman back in.
I agree, that would be very helpful.
Well, I think that we probably need to look at that in 3 years.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is so we can make sure in 3 years to have that on the budget again.
Right, and that's exactly what I was gonna say, that's something maybe we can work on, maybe getting on our.
I think that needs to be part of your policy and procedures at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
It'll be an item, a budgetary item that'd be in request.
Request for that. So,
And I'll remind them.
okay, but you will. That's bring next those other guys to come in without just a sales proposal, you know? Get their attitude about it.
You know, that's the thing about, the first one's gonna be
Where you
most
gonna take
expensive, but the second one's not gonna be that.
Exactly.
Where the money will come from.
Exactly.
The processes will be in place. The thing will
Okay,
be done.
let's make the, I make the motion to enter into the contract for option 4 with Mission Control.
I second. Second.
And that's the 10,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
10,300.
300.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, the option 4 includes a 1 day, in 6 months, come back and review what we've looked at to be sure that the procedures that we've set in place are proper still.
You may come back anytime you wish, sir. We don't have to pay you to come.
Hey, you're not paying me for this.
Okay.
No, and every time I leave, and here's the thing, you're gonna get, the sheriff will get a comprehensive written report with my findings and recommendations for every area that I look at. I look at the security, the storage, procedures, the training, everything is all inclusive in this report. And then I will also send it to them in a format to where they can go into that report under each recommendation and add what they've done to clean it up, so that way there it's in one neat report.
Well, I see this as one of the single most important things we can to help ensure prosecution on criminal cases in this county, to assist this.
Evidence tells the story of a crime. Don't let it tell the story of your agency.
I think you need to start looking at suppression.
I think it's money well spent.
I'll call for
Property room stuff to our computer software.
Yeah, well, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay, I've done a good bit of talking and discussing with our treasurer and our auditor and with Jim Allison on a substantial conversation with him. He reports, Judge Bullock, he says records are not defined in the statute that we're talking about here. That would be in section 118.0216 of the local government code. He says that it would appear to be within the discretion of the Commissioner's Court to include the audit, inventory, and training of the evidence records. Jim Allison. So I believe that we can take that out of the county records management and preservation fund, not the clerks, or the archives of the county.
Works for me.
And so
We need to make it.
I think there's a substantial amount of funds in that fund that we can only specifically use for certain things, and he advises that it looks like it's in our discretion.
Is that a fee-based account?
Do we need to add that to his?
I would amend my motion to include that.
Or do you want to
Just add
second?
to it.
Yeah,
Just add it to it. Yeah, we'll just, and this is
Yeah,
going to be
I'd
out
like to add that to be on there.
of,
And this is a fee-based account, and not a
No,
taxpayer.
it's not taxable. It's people that come in.
It's fee-based.
That's what I'm saying. I want to make sure that people understand that we're not spending more tax dollars, we're spending fees that are already there.
People that commit the crimes.
Commit the crimes or pay for it.
They need to be one to pay for it.
Yeah.
we have a motion then and a motion by Commissioner Sype, second by Commissioner Pruitt to enter into an agreement with Mission Control for option 4 as presented at $10,300 for audit, assessment, and training, and including any other item that option 4 provides for, and to be paid for out of the County Records Management and Preservation Fund. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good.
John, you got a job.
And I understand that you pay 30% down at the beginning of the project?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the remaining 70%?
Is that the conclusion?
We have some reservations on that, though, paying money up front for services.
Well, she just said that policy was 30%.
30%.
No, it's contracts.
That's what the contract states, but we got some reservations on paying for services not rendered.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that at the meeting before.
What's your references?
I'm sorry.
30% up front?
That's typically what I've been charging at the start of all my jobs, and it just covers expenses.
I mean, we can
And
give
you're
it
talking
to
what,
the
3
day of
weeks
he
probably?
starts.
Yeah.
Just not give it to him 2 weeks before he starts.
Having invoices for that 30%.
It's option 4 is, it's 4 weeks,
4 weeks.
yes.
So that's what you're talking about is expenses for 4 weeks.
Driving back and forth.
Yes.
Are you staying or are you going?
No, because otherwise it would be a lot more.
I don't see no problem with it. You give it to him the day he starts.
Well, there's a stipulation in the code, counties not being able to pay for services that has not been rendered, payment in advance, I think. So, issue here, have you done this with some other counties?
Yes, with Palo Pinto, well, every job I've had, Graham, Palo
Well,
Pinto.
the Graham is the police department, that's a little different set of rules.
Yes, it's Palo Pinto, Hill County, Wood County.
Is there not a precedent, haven't we done this before?
We did it when we did the windows, we paid 50% when they did the windows, then we paid 50%.
We
when
were
they did
doing
the
that scanning for Cade, we did, we paid half.
finish. Do what now?
Yeah.
Got took on some scanning.
We got a little stuck on that, and it didn't finish the project, but.
Scanning. I'm talking about windows.
Well,
We did that.
Yeah, that was through basic
But I know,
IDIQ.
I know.
So I can understand your reservations, you know, if I get stuck with certain things. This evidence is, number one, it's my job, but it's my integrity, it's on the line. I will not go into the evidence room without Sergeant Moody or somebody else with me because of that. And so I will guarantee that this thing's gonna be done, it's gonna be done right.
we understand that, and you're not very far away, we can get you. When do you expect to start that audit?
That's something that would be agreed upon between us, I can start, yeah, I can start next week. I mean, it's that quick.
Well,
We can cut the check in as soon as he shows up.
I think we're good to authorize your audit to,
Yeah.
probably get a hand start or something.
I think if you give it to him the day he starts.
That's at
Oh, yeah.
30% in advance.
Okay.
30%. I think we voted 5-0 on that, I'm sorry.
You need to sign.
Yes, sir.
If you did, now we'll vote again.
You got to sign a contract on it?
I imagine there's an agreement signed somewhere.
Yes, it's on page, it's
On
on
the
the
last
last
page,
page.
and, can we, I think I have that emailed in to me, I can, change it.
Mr. Carpenter, you don't have to leave.
I've seen enough.
Hey, you seen enough?
You seen enough sausage being made?
Y'all did a good job, I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Because I haven't,
No, this standing.
Bologna being made.
I've got a copy here, and I'll just add your name down here.
Marked out that way. It's-
Let me get that done right quick, and we'll just.
Okay, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Hey, Cheryl,
Thank you,
don't
sir.
leave just yet.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you again.
Don't leave just yet, wait for this next one.
Oh, and that's the thing too, is.
This next one.
Hey, let's take a break, right?
They always tell the
I'll
sheriff.
give you time to do that.
Yeah,
Go
could
ahead.
we get an update?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sheriff. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Joe.
He made the best of it, he made this, and there's the kids that he had.
That's good.
Delete. There you go.
You can go get your camera, you got stuck with.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Young County Court, Commissioners Court, sitting in a regular meeting. It is 11:21 a.m. on March 26, 2018. We're on item number 11, and that's going to be ratify equipment lease between First National Bank Leasing in Young County for 2018 Cat Motor Grader Precinct 2.
All we did is added 30,000 on it, took it down to 31,755.
So he'll have 3 years at 11,222.11.
And we have a contract there, do we just need to write, we've already executed?
Yeah, we've already-
Signed it, yes, and it's in the packet.
Okay, we
Make the motion.
I'll second that.
Wiley. This is to ratify lease with First National Bank Leasing and Young County. All in favor? Okay, item number 12 is discuss, consider mass gathering process, procedures, regulations, permits pursuant to Health and Safety Code, Texas Health and Safety Code 751.
I'll make the motion that we table this and we all read this since we just got it, and then we'll discuss it at the next meeting.
There's more new information that I've got with regard to the different activity that we're talking about, so.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of, well, okay, well, this will be a new item for our next meeting.
Okay.
Next regular meeting. Okay, all in favor?
You'll share that information as you get it, Jim?
Excuse me?
You'll share that new information you get as you get it?
When I get it, all figured out. Okay, discuss, consider copy release maintenance agreement with Benchmark.
I have the new contract, and actually the monthly payment's gonna be, I can't remember what it was for now, but it's gonna be about anywhere from $800 to $1,000 cheaper a month.
I like that.
Less expensive.
I like that.
Excuse me, less expensive.
And I like
Also,
upgrade.
what they're gonna help us with on the return of those other machines, they have a company, and Kelly told me, he said, we can get it for the maximum $2,500 shipped.
Yeah.
And he said, hold me to it, I said, I am. And so I've already returned the information back to Wells Fargo this morning, along with the contact person. He said that would be helping us take care of that, so.
I'm glad we
Our
did.
spots.
I think we upgraded from a Pinto to a Cadillac
Well, I do too. I think.
For less money.
for less money.
Yes, I think it's gonna be better.
So we're doing a good job spending.
I make a motion that we
Right about
ratify
that.
this
Execute lease agreement.
Execute contract.
execute lease agreement.
I'll second that.
Okay. That's,
Jimmy.
all in favor?
Cheryl, we don't want your,
You what?
we don't want your copy.
You're gonna get,
What's your copy?
you're gonna get used.
That's it after the sheriff's.
She does.
I do not.
Uh-oh, that's gonna come on.
They're really quick. I've already got all the IPs already there.
The scanners on the old ones are pretty quick.
Oh,
These are really.
they did a two-sided color
Does it say initial?
Yeah.
before I even did what was
And
happening.
this is for the financing part on it, and they are the finance company, so we'll have one bill for the leases and one bill
Yeah.
that all
we're not
come
getting
over.
that
This is for the
Absolutely.
leases options.
Again?
Was there a date placed? All those other pages are new. I don't like that one. Thank you so much. We'll get it sent in. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 14, excuse me.
Do we need to get this?
I'll call it. Okay. Item number 14 is closed session pursuant to 551.071-1A, consultation with attorneys regarding pending or possible litigation with Brad Alvin Group. Everybody got a,
Yeah, we're out of here.
Hey, before I leave, I want to thank y'all for
thank you.
item number 10.
You bet.
Okay, we're back in live session. We're on the recorder and on the camera. So it's, this is 12:32. Clock PM, March 26, 2018. And we're out of closed session, we're back in open session. We are down to item number 15, let's discuss, consider resolution of retention regarding opioid litigation, Brad Altman, the Altman Group. I didn't put it in the packet, and I haven't just got a resolution that went along with Wichita County's. I don't think it's here with this. Yeah, they got a resolution of retention. So
I'll make a motion, we do not enter into a resolution, or a
this says
contract.
a resolution and order of the Wichita County Commissioners Court opioid litigation. So.
I say no, there's
No action. No action, none.
You want, okay,
Just no action.
Will that dispose of it?
withdraw your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we have no motion and we'll take no action on resolution. Okay, we've got to discuss.
I'm going to say that on the burn restriction there, that there's enough stuff getting green and people are doing their prescribed burns properly and everything's working. And rain's on the way.
Praise God.
I don't think it's too late for me, but I sure wish I'd had the opportunity to burn with postal bags.
It's greening up pretty good right there.
I probably have one that's got enough fuel to carry it. I got one pack that doesn't. But it doesn't need burning so bad. It's burning pretty bad. No action here?
No action.
No action.
Make a motion we adjourn.
Who seconded?
I wasn't gonna do it.
Hey.
Who made the motion to?
Wiley.
Wiley made the motion.
I'll do it.
What's his?
We'll vote
I'm
against
trying to
that.
change things.
Yeah. Matt, you want to vote against that adjournment?
Vote against it?
So what time did y'all go into?
I'll second it, Judge.
Oh,
What time did you go into closed session? I didn't write it down.
All in favor? Not 3 to 2? 5-0.
This is just for our information here on the side docket.